What's the difference between Guardianship, Marchman Act, and the Baker Act? Okay, let's do this in reverse order because I want to focus on guardianship. The Baker Act. You know, I'm a big fan of the Baker Act, and I say that tongue in cheek because I've put out literally probably hundreds of videos about the Baker Act and all the kinds of shenanigans that go on here in the state of Florida with our broken draconian mental health system. The Baker Act is a statute that allows the state of Florida to basically step in and grab somebody. That person then becomes a temporary ward of the state of Florida, and the guardian now becomes the state, right? So patient is the ward, state is the guardian, and that means the state, or their agent, I should say, which is typically the hospital, or the Baker Act facility, which is a licensed agent of the state's mental health system, now becomes the decision maker. That person's ability, their right to make medical and mental health decisions for themselves is terminated. If it's a minor, the parents' rights to make decisions for that person are terminated. If there's a healthcare proxy, the person who's been designated as the decision maker by the healthcare proxy, well, their rights are terminated too. Yep, the healthcare proxy is not worth the paper it's written on. Unless, of course, you're willing to step into court and enforce those rights. But the Baker Act is easily abused. It is not, and I emphasize this, it is not a treatment statute. It's not designed to treat things. So please don't run to the courthouse and go file a petition under the Baker Act, because if you do, and it's granted, you're going to call me crying within about 24 to 48 hours, having realized the mistake that you made. If it's that critical, someone's actively threatening to harm themselves, pick up the phone, call 911 and have the cops come down. That's the best way, the fastest way to Baker Act somebody. That's what it's for. That's why the police have that authority. So that's the Baker Act. The Marchman Act. The Marchman Act is a wonderful, powerful tool. I'm a big fan of it. It is a statute that's unique to Florida, and it allows us to put people into treatment for periods of 90 days, which we typically repeat at least once. So our typical Marchman Act case is going to go on for about 6 months. And it is designed for when there is a primary substance use disorder. Marijuana, coke, heroin, meth, pills, oxys, those types of things. So primary drugs, and it also contemplates co-occurring mental illness. And it can be initiated pretty darn quick. Normally I can get somebody picked up for an assessment, depending on the case, depending on the county, depending on the judge, sometimes the same day, certainly within 24 hours if the court's inclined to grant it. And then we can have a hearing and send them off to treatment for the next 3 months. But really cool. And by the way, in the description for this video is a link to our book, all about the Marchman Act, which I wrote. 9 chapters, written, video, 100% completely free. You click on the link, you give us your name and your email address, and we'll send it to you. So please download the book. I wrote it for you so you could learn more about the Marchman Act. Guardianship. So I'm not talking about guardianship for elderly people. And I think I've said this before. My wife, who's a brilliant lawyer, also a fabulous wife, but she's a brilliant lawyer, wrote the book on how to use guardianship for behavioral health issues. So when you see all these copycats out there, you'll know where they learned it from. Guardianship is amazing because it allows us to take, well, pretty much complete and utter control over somebody's life. And while I love Marchman Act is very narrow in its relief. And what I mean by that is it's just an order that says, Mark, you're going to treatment for 90 days. Guardianship says, I can make you go to treatment and I can get access to your medical records so I can see what's going on. I'm going to control your finances so you don't blow all your money. And if you have a business, I want to make sure that I can take control of it so that I can make sure it's still there when you get out of treatment. I want to make sure you take your medications. I want to restrict your ability to travel. I'm going to take away your driver's license so you don't drive high or drunk. I'm going to decide who you spend time with, because those losers you've been hanging out with, well, they'd rather see you living on the street homeless than support recovery. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can control with guardianship, and when you really know what you're doing, Marchman and guardianship together. Now there's a special form of relief. Speed and control. 2 judges, 2 courts we can run back to if there's a problem. But that's the difference. Guardianship, Marchman Act, and my old friend, the Baker Act. And with that said, if you have any questions, please post it in the comments. If there's another issue going on in your family and I haven't made a video about it, well, let me know. Post in the comments. I'll make you that video. And if you like this content, please give me a thumbs up. Really helps with the Google algorithm. And if you want more of this content that I make every day for you, well, subscribe to the channel. With that said, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.